Hey, what's up, everybody? Thanks so much for tuning in to the 4554 podcast. I'm your host, Nick Eden, and we are back with another show. All right, so here we go, man. It's week 3 that we've been back, and you guys are still rocking with me. I certainly appreciate it. I've been saying it, and I'll say it again, time and time and again. I did not expect the response. I did not expect everybody to come back, to be honest, and especially with the new listeners. I 100% appreciate my seasoned listeners. I don't want to call you guys old because that's not the case, but it's very refreshing to know that people still want the content. And again, I'll keep doing it as long as you guys want me to. And even the YouTube watchers as well. And that actually brings me to what I want to do just quickly is just do a couple of quick house cleaning things. And that is first to remind everyone, if you are listening to this podcast on your platform of choice, please also go to YouTube and search Nick Eden on YouTube. Where you will find the video version of the podcast, as well as a lot of classic content that I've had on my channel since I started this whole merch journey. So classic shows like Merch in a Minute, Morning Cup of Merch, 45 Live, a lot of the walkthroughs that I've done. And you actually get to see this huge beard that I have now. For anybody who's seen me before, you probably remember me having a smaller beard or a goatee, but now I've got this this kind of I guess you could call it my mountain man beard. So please make sure you head over to YouTube, Nick Eden, like, share, and subscribe. And I definitely appreciate everybody who's already over there and everybody who's listening to this on your podcast of choice, podcast platform of choice, I should say. Also, I wanted to say that yesterday, September 30th, was the 5-year anniversary of Merch by Amazon. And before anybody says anything, I know I said last week that I was going to talk about way more than just merch going forward, and that's still true. But I would not be as deep into print on demand as I am now if it were not for Merch by Amazon. I've said this before. I started way back with trying to put up a few designs on Cafe Press and Zazzle back in the day. Never really worked out. Didn't really come back to it until like 2015 when I started designing on Teespring, and then 2016 on Redbubble, and then got into merch in 2017. And so I probably would not be where I am with the content that I put out now if it were not for Merch by Amazon. So happy birthday, Merch. You are still, in my opinion, the undisputed king of print on demand. You probably hear me say that again later on in the podcast. So here's to the first 5 years and many years to come. I hope that everybody who's listening makes as much money as you possibly can off of merch, in addition to your other platforms. And speaking of other platforms, I did say that I wanted to start a series starting this week with other print-on-demand platforms that you as a new seller and even some of you experienced sellers can actually take a part of. Now, my experienced sellers definitely know about this already. This is no secret. New sellers may not know as much, So today I'm actually talking about Spreadshirt. And Spreadshirt is a platform that's been around for quite a while. And I'll be honest, I mistakenly made like $75 on Spreadshirt. I actually went in. I was testing out the Merch Titans automation tool in late 2018, early 2019, and I forgot that I had even loaded any shirts or any products on Spreadshirt at all, because it just wasn't on my radar. I was, really being a merch head at the time. And so outside of Teespring, Etsy, and Redbubble, I didn't really check any other platforms. And I had completely forgotten about the ones that I went through the Merch Titans automation. And I think I actually may get Curtis on, because I know he's still kind of rocking with that automation software. And as I see in the group, he's been doing some improvements to the platform. So actually, Curtis was one of the few guests I had on 45 Live, which was a live version of the 4554 podcast. So I may just bring him back and talk a little bit about the automation and how it's going. But I say that to say, so maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, I was randomly in the promotions tab in my Gmail account, and I saw where it said, "Congratulations, you made another sale." And I'm like, I don't, what is this? So I click on it thinking it's spam because, Teespring doesn't tell me when I get a sale. Redbubble does, but I know those emails and they go straight to my inbox. Um, so I just happened to see that it was from Spreadshirt, and I was like, what the hell? I don't even remember being on Spreadshirt. And then it clicked just like that. Oh man, I actually loaded some designs there. And what's crazy is I've only loaded like 23 different designs. They are all in one niche, very, I say a semi-popular niche. I say very, but a semi-popular niche that's gaining ground as certain regulations and laws change in this country state by state. Let's just put it that way. But I went in and I saw it and I was like, oh, wow, it says you made another sale. So at some point I've made a first sale. And so I just did a quick search of a Spreadshirt on my in my email, and I see all these emails that went into my promotions folder, and I didn't even remember the password to my Spreadshirt account. And so I had to reset the password, the whole nine. And I go in, and lo and behold, I've made $75 in royalties over the course of the last, year and a half. And I'm like, wow. Oh, okay. Well, let's see what's going on here. And so I wanted to rate it just in terms of what I think would be good in terms of new sellers getting into Spreadshirt. I've heard many of my fellow sellers tell me that Spreadshirt would be their number 2 or number 3 platform in terms of where they're getting their sales. And it just never seemed like that to me. If I'm being completely honest with you, and things may have changed, and that's why I'm going to play around with it a little bit more over the next few weeks. I just remember the process of uploading and waiting for the approval, call it the instant gratification, but good gracious, it was not that easy to deal with. And so I did it through the automation. And then I tried to go in and manually load one, and I got so frustrated with it that I was just like, screw it. But, and that's what actually made me forget. I was so frustrated with it. I said, screw it. So yeah. So we're going to break this down by 3 categories. We're going to talk about product selection. We're going to talk about royalty payout and the site's organic traffic. And so let's get right into the first one. So product selection. Now, what I like about Spreadshirt's product selection is they set themselves apart just a little bit more from a few of the other print-on-demand platforms. Obviously, they have your usual unisex shirts, premium male, premium female. I do like the fact that they have a premium women's Spreadshirt. A premium women's hoodie. See, I got Spreadshirt on my mind, just like that. By the way, somebody didn't make mention to this. I don't edit the show like I used to, because, I probably would have edited that part out, a year, 2 years, 3 years ago. But I don't edit it anymore because, quite frankly, I want you guys to get this information raw, just like I'm giving it to you. If I mess it up so bad, that means you probably won't even hear that, because I'll probably just start recording all over again. And so you never even hear that version of it. But I like for it to come out just raw and unfiltered. So that's what we're dealing with. But there's a premium women's hoodie that I really like. And that is one thing that I know from customers that I've had in other platforms that I've done, where I've actually been able to speak with them and things of that nature. And they always say the same thing. I don't like the hoodie you have. It's unisex. It's kind of blocky. My wife has said the same thing. I've had, my cousins and my sister, they've all said the same thing. So I do like the fact that they have a premium women's hoodie. They also have a snapback baseball cap. I love their raglan t-shirts because they have the inverted version. So if you guys know a merch, you'll have the white shirt with the black or colored sleeves, or the gray, very light gray. So the fact that they have kind of like the inverted raglan tee, for me, somebody who's a big baseball fan, that's a big thing for me. And they also have tote bags and just a myriad of products. They have polo shirts as well. So usually these are things that I've encountered, on my platforms where I've used Printful or Shirtly to do those types of things. But, to have an all-in-one kind of deal, very similar to the product selection on Teespring, even though I will say Teespring has a little bit more. It's very comparable to that, and it's very diverse, and it gives it a great thumbs up from me on that. And so for product selection, I would give Spreadshirt a good 4 out of 5. So the next thing that we were going to rate them on is the royalty payout. Now, we can talk about the royalty amounts, and that's fine. I think at this point, we are all kind of standard, especially the way that a lot of us price for scale. But in that $3 to $5 range, and Spreadshirt falls kind of right in the middle of that. It's comparable market pricing. I would give them. Some people go higher, some people go lower. Like I said, you're trying to fit scale, but they're so here's the thing about it. After the money is settled in your account, you get your payout 15 days after via PayPal. And so you do have to make sure that everything is completely set up for you in terms of your payout system. Make sure you have a valid PayPal address. Make sure that you've done your due diligence and filled out everything that you have to fill out when you're in Spreadshirt. And so you get that payment about 15 days after it's cleared. And the funny thing about it is because, and this sounds so antithetical to being a small business owner, independent contractor, sole proprietor, whatever you want to call it, I don't check my PayPal like that. And so this is probably one of the reasons that I had no clue that I was selling on Spreadshirt as long as I have. And I probably need to just go ahead and log in and see what else I've got coming into PayPal. So yeah, royalty payout, pretty standard. It doesn't have the 30-day net like merch does, just depending on how long it takes for that payment to clear. So you're looking at 15 days afterwards. And I think I have another $10.50 coming on the 15th. So pretty satisfied with that. I kind of operate on a net 30. And so I generally, unless it's getting close to tax time, I don't monitor the payments on a lot of my platforms like that. I treat everything like it's a net 30. So I pretty much put myself on the same schedule as I do for merch. And sometimes I just have really good surprises come in. So, hey. And that may not be the case for everyone. I will say that I am a bit fortunate to where I don't have to watch every single dollar that comes in on print on demand in terms of, me paying things out. But you know what? Just as a good job, Nick, pat on the back, I may take that $75 and I may just buy some more merch services. So I would give on royalty payout, I would give it a 3 out of 5, only because it's not always clear about how that payment clears and everything. So I would give it a 3 out of 5. And then finally, I would say the number 3 is the site's organic traffic. Now, this is where Spreadshirt stands out a little bit for me. And obviously because of present circumstances, because I didn't know that I had this money, all of this stuff is coming from their marketplace and their extended marketplace. And so that already puts it leaps and bounds above places like Teespring, which even though they have, they beefed it up the last couple of years, we all know that Teespring doesn't have the best organic traffic. And since Teespring has always been constantly juggling between my number 1 and number 2 platform, this gives me some incentive to put some more stuff up on Spreadshirt, because for it to continue to sell like that, when you're talking about between a $3 and $4 royalty on stuff, that's not bad. And I think, with only having 23 designs up there, I've got thousands of designs. What would be the result if I put more up there? So on their site's organic traffic, I would definitely give Spreadshirt a 4 out of 5. And overall, that's going to put me probably at about I would give Spreadshirt a strong 4 out of 5. At the very least, a 3.5 out of 5, but I'm leaning towards 4. And I think that over the next few weeks, I'm going to really look into utilizing the platform a lot more, digging a little bit more into the niche that's selling, testing out other niches and seeing how they sell. And to an extent, because I've said before that I'm not going to spend a ton of time on a lot of other platforms and just really just narrow down on what's working. But clearly this falls into the category of what's actually working. I mean, what other great surprise could you have logging into an account and seeing that you got money and you've had money coming in for a while? So overall, I would definitely recommend Spreadshirt. I would definitely recommend it for new sellers, experienced sellers. I would definitely want you guys to chime in and tell me what your experiences with Spreadshirt are. And overall, I think that in terms of print-on-demand platforms, it can be one of the ones, if you're on multi-platforms, that can fall into that top 5. So that's going to be it for the Spreadshirt review today. I know I want to start doing a lot more with my YouTube channel, and I do think that maybe a walkthrough with the merch automation, Merch Titans automation, will be a good deal to put onto the YouTube so you can see how that whole process went. And it's an experiment for me because, quite frankly, again, this was something that I did in late 2018, early 2019, and so it's something we can learn together, and it's something we can learn visually. So I appreciate everybody that's been tuning in. Again, I'm going to keep this thing going as long as I can. I'm going to keep adding the content. Next week, we will go into one of my tried and true and probably one of the more controversial print-on-demand platforms, which would be Teespring. So Teespring is going to be next week, especially with a lot of the stuff that's coming up for the holiday. I think they have some stuff that will really, I can't say set them apart, but solidify them even more in the marketplace than where they are right now. And so make sure you tune into that. Again, if you are listening to us for the first time, thank you so much. Please don't forget youtube.com, Nick Eden, like and subscribe, Instagram, 4554 podcast, Facebook, the 4554 podcast. Like, share, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend. And remember this, you can make as much money as you want to with print on demand, but you have to press the go button. Take care, and I'll talk to you next time.